Hey, good morning YouTube. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about Cornell and Diehl's small batch Carolina Red Flake. C&D was good enough to send me a sample a couple days ago, and it was about enough for about 3 bowls, and I'm on my last bowl right now. Now the first bowl that I smoked, to be honest with you, I wasn't that crazy about. And I think the reason why, and you guys actually might experience this if you buy it, is it's so unusual for any of us, myself included, to smoke 100% straight anything. Straight Virginia, straight Burley, etc. So just the idea of smoking something straight, it's going to be a different experience. And that's definitely kind of the learning curve that I experienced. Probably the only other straight Virginia I've ever smoked would have been McCraney's Red Flake and probably 1 or 2 others. I've smoked also whole leaf Burley in previous videos. That definitely was not an easy smoke. And that too took a learning curve. So long story short, the first bowl wasn't that great. I had my second bowl last night, and I did it back to back, as I've done before on camera, in 2 different bowls, where I had this small batch Red Flake in one pipe, and I pitted it against opening night, which is a mixture of red and bright, but when I really stared at that opening night, it looks almost all red. There's a couple specks of bright Virginia. So I was on the Reddit Hangout, and the guys helped me choose a good comparison. And smoking those back to back, I definitely prefer the small batch Red Flake here. I've just never been an opening night type of guy. And they're also apples and oranges in the sense that opening night is a broken flake, and this essentially is not a flake. Now I think a better comparison would be to smoke the small batch Red Flake against 5 O'Clock Shadow, also by Cornell and Diehl. I've had some 5 O'Clock Shadow about a year ago. I didn't really care for it at the time. Again, probably because it's 90% plus straight red Virginia. But if anybody was interested in trying to compare it against something within the same company, I would say 5 O'Clock Shadow would be a great one. So with that said, let me go ahead and light up here, and I'll give you my thoughts. Now I do need to correct myself because I forgot about the infamous McClellan's 5100 Red Cake, which is also 100% straight red Virginia as far as I know. And if you were to ask me how does this compare to that, again, apples and oranges. We all know, or most of us know, or most of us believe at least, that the McClellan Virginias or the McClellan tobaccos in general are just a little more softened, a little more processed, maybe some sugar water, maybe something else. But long story short, the 5100 it's a piece of cake to smoke. It's really smooth. Some people don't like it, but I would hazard to guess that nobody would describe it as harsh. And I think about maybe a good portion of people who try this Red Flake, the small batch here, will probably describe it as harsh. Now they may not describe it as any harsher than the other C&D line, but this is no 5100. And that's not actually a put down of this tobacco. It's traditional C&D. And in that same vein, I would say, McCraney's Red Flake or Red Ribbon, either one, it's a little less McClellan-y than 5100 is, but it's still not as punchy or harsh or unadulterated as the C&D blend here. Makes good smoke, that's for sure. Last night's smoke against opening night was actually really good. I actually preferred this one versus opening night. This one actually tastes, believe it or not, brighter than opening night. And opening night has the bright leaf in it. This has no bright leaf. Very surprising. I almost got, and I'm not getting it now, but last night I got actually a pretty good nose of hay and grass, believe it or not. And that was a complete surprise for me. It's not what you'd expect from a red Virginia. Also in last night's bowl, I got kind of a faux Perique type of sense. I got a little bit of spiciness in the nose. Again, not getting that right now. But to someone that is a big vapor head and likes vapors, I would say, probably a 50-50 shot. You might get some faux Periqueness out of this. You may not, but it was there last night, and it was there pretty strong. Now, I was just watching a video on this tobacco by Jeremy Reeves, the head blender at C&D. I'll put the link down in the description, just to get a little background about how they came up with this, the story behind it. And it was a single batch, I believe, of 2015 Carolina Red Virginia, and that gave me kind of a little bit of a background on it, and it started making me think that I would go as far to say that to smoke a straight tobacco that's unblended like this is, I think it's probably going to be something more well-suited toward the seasoned tobacco smoker, someone who's been smoking for maybe a year, if not more. And the reason why is because the flavors here are so muted that I think it takes a palate that's kind of been around the block a few times to really dig deep and actually find them. And above and beyond having a pretty good palate, I think it takes patience to be able to really tease out the flavors here. The one thing this reminds me of, and the one thing that it has in common with Wessex Burley Slice, which is one of my favorite tobaccos, radically different tobacco, but the same thing happened with Wessex Burley Slice. Very, very muted flavors, and it just took a lot of patience to tease out just a little bit of that oatiness and grape nuts that I talked about a long time ago. And the same thing here. If you are in a rush, if you're the kind of person that is either A, new to pipe smoking, or B, is smokes like a freight train in the car while focusing on a lot of different things, you might not get a great experience out of this. This is definitely a tobacco you want to have the time and the patience to focus on. Otherwise, it may just be meh. So I'm about halfway down now, half a bowl in, and I'm definitely getting more flavor now than I did in the first half. The first half, to be honest with you, couldn't pull much of anything out. I take that back. It was harsher in the first half, and therefore I couldn't pull out any specific flavors. Now it is much more smooth and much more approachable. All that initial harshness is gone, and I think Jeremy in his video talks about the fact this would do really good with age. A lot of tobaccos would do very well with age. Some people have more patience to build a cellar. Some people want to buy something and smoke it right now. This might be a little rough to some to smoke right away. Which leads me to my last part, which is, am I storing up for tobacco apocalypse by building a big cellar now? I haven't actually jumped on the wagon yet. I was going to wait till midsummer before I start buying. And when I do build my cellar in preparation for whatever may come, I have a specific target in mind, or a specific theme I want to go for. And that theme is, I want to go toward more value-based tobaccos, or value quantity tobaccos. And so what I really started thinking about is buying tobaccos in 8-ounce tins. Now, the larger the tin, the better the price. So here's just an example. All the C&D tins, or a majority of them, I'm just going to give you one online retailer's example, pipesandcigars.com. They're somewhere in the $9 range, $9.50 to maybe $9.70 for a 2-ounce tin. When you go to an 8-ounce tin, which is 4 times the amount, well, you take basically 4 times $10, you should expect to pay $38, $39. But the 8-ounce tins by C&D are actually about $25. So the price per ounce, even in tin form, from 2 to 8, is just a crazy value. Huge economies of scale there. And one thing I wanted to do then is really take a look at that and be like, I just want to buy a bunch of 8-ounce tins. So unfortunately, they don't make that many 8-ounce tins. There's only probably 15 to 20 blends that actually come in 8-ounce. Fortunately, about 3 or 4 of them are some of my favorites. Now, the way to find this, and the way to quickly search pipes and cigars, if you're interested in doing this, is they don't have an ability to actually search for 8-ounce tins. You have to type in 224 in the search window. And that's because 224 grams is equivalent to 8-ounce. And that's actually how the metadata was programmed in the background. If you want to look for 1 pound tins or bricks, you just double that, so 448. So when I did that, I found 3 that I was really happy to find. Raj's Court, which is one of my favorites, comes in 8 ounce. Sunday Picnic comes in 8 ounce, and Crooked Lane also does. So when I start storing up, I'm gonna go crazy with those 3, and hopefully I'll buy them before I post this video. But that's something I wanna do. I wanna get my my dollars per bowl down as low as I can and still find some really high quality tobaccos. I've paid $12, $13 on 1.76 ounce tins before. I still have some favorites that only come in the 50 gram or the 2 ounce, but going forward I'm going to try to wean myself off those and just really focus on those bigger quantity buys to get the most value out of the hobby. And I don't think I'll be sacrificing that much, but that's my summer goal for 2016. All right, guys, I think that's it for today. I am baking in the sun. Let me just wrap up by saying, would I buy the small batch Red Flake when it comes out? For me personally, I wouldn't, but I would recommend it for someone who's never had a straight red Virginia. Like I said, I've had some pretty good experience with this, excluding that first bowl, and I think it's valuable to give it a shot at least once. If you like opening night, if you're a 5100 red cake type of guy, and like a lot of other blends with red Virginia in it, I'd say this would be a no-brainer to at least give it a shot. But for me, since I'm more of a burly guy, and kind of like the Virginias to not be more than 60-70%, I want some other stuff in there. It's just not quite my cup of tea, at least not yet. Palates always change though within this hobby. So with that, I'm going to say thanks again for watching. Definitely appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.